Y'all, where did time go? The state semifinals are finally here. Now, sorry about my picks last week. I was having some camera trouble. We had to get that figured out and time got away from me there. But here are my state semifinal picks. Let's get into it. A lot of solid matchups this week. Real quick though, how about last week? A lot of upsets in small town high school football. So we'll talk about that a little bit too while we pick these teams, who wins and who doesn't win. So let's get into it. Let's start out with the wonderful. I would mix these up, but last time I did that, I left out a division. We don't want to do that. We're going to start off with 6A. First game is Allen versus Duncanville in the DFW area, two powerhouses. I've got Allen winning this game. The Eagles have shown me no sign of, hey, they can be beat. They're a solid team. They got a great offensive and defensive line, and I think that overpowers them versus this Duncanville team. Give me Allen advancing to the state championship. Hey, just like old times. They haven't been since 2017, maybe, I think. I think that's the last time they won one at least. But Allen goes to the state championship. On the bottom side of our bracket here, or on the other side, we've got North Shore versus Lake Travis. North Shore, I feel like, has gotten a lot better. I feel like they have found their rhythm. They've found their offense, and their offense is really clicking right now. But I want us to look at this Lake Travis defense with Carter Buck and how great they are. They've got a great run game. They are built for cold weather football or built for playoff football. I've got Lake Travis playing Allen again in the state championship next week, which is crazy to think about. So Allen versus Lake Travis in the 6A Division I state championship. I think Kyler Murray played Lake Travis and they beat them one year, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. How about 6A Division II? We got some more DFW teams in there. We got South Lake Carroll versus DeSoto. South Lake Carroll, just their offense is unbelievable. I mean, their defense is unbelievable. They are just such a complete team this year. This DeSoto team, though, I feel like they have found their stride this late in the season. But I just think South Lake Carroll is just the better team in this matchup. They're playing good football on offense and defense, and they beat a really good Geyer team. This Geyer team was playing very well. They beat a very good Prosper team. They were playing well, but South Lake Carroll is just above and beyond both of those, and they get the win versus DeSoto. So give me South Lake Carroll advancing to state for the second year in a row. On the bottom of this game, on the other side of the bracket here, we got C.E King versus Vandergrift High School. Vandergrift, they made state last year. They beat South Lake Carroll. Was a surprise to a lot of people. But can Vandergrift advance to their third state final in a row, or third state championship in a row? They'll have to get past this C.E King team, y'all. And I like C.E King to win this game. I think they've got athletes. They're physical. I think they beat Vandergrift to get to the state championship versus South Lake Carroll. And I think we're in for a pretty good matchup at state, y'all. That'll be a fun game to watch. So South Lake Carroll versus C.E King for the 6A Division II state championship. All right, let's go to 5A Division I. We got some more DFW teams on one side of the bracket right here. Aledo versus Lone Star. And this Aledo team looked dominant versus Denton Ryan. I mean, I thought that was going to be a closer game. Of course, I figured Aledo would pull it out, but they just ran all over Denton Ryan, and the Bearcats are headed back to the state semifinal. On the other side, they'll be playing a Lone Star team that they finally make the state semifinals. They got past Highland Park last week. This Lone Star offense is really good, y'all. But I've got Aledo in this defense getting past Lone Star, and they get back to the state championship game. That'll be a fun game to watch. The Bearcats being back. So give me Aledo advancing the state. On the other side of this 5A Division I bracket, we've got Memorial, Port Arthur Memorial versus Smithson Valley. Smithson Valley looking to advance to their third state championship game in a row. But I've got Port Arthur Memorial beating the Rangers here and getting to the state championship game versus Aledo. I think that'll be a pretty good game, y'all. Both teams have got athletes. It'll be pretty fun to watch. So give me Port Arthur Memorial versus Aledo in the 5A Division I state championship. In 5A Division II, we got some DFW teams playing in this one. Melissa versus South Oak Cliff. This South Oak Cliff team, I think this is one of the best teams he's had ever. I think their only loss was to Duncanville, I believe. Either Duncanville or DeSoto. I don't have it on me right here. But I think to Duncanville. He only has one loss. They beat North Shore, which is in the state semifinals. This team is firing on all cylinders. They're playing a Melissa team who plays really physical. We saw that game versus Argyle and they played. I think this will be a little closer to start off, but I do think South Oak Cliff pulls it off here, and they advance to the state championship game. Richmond Randall versus Bernie. Richmond Randall in the state semifinals again, and so is Bernie. They have reached their third state semifinal in a row. How about that for the Greyhounds? Second one in 5A Division II, which is very impressive, y'all. But I think Richmond Randall, I think they beat Bernie again. This will be a rematch from last season, but I think Richmond Randall gets past Bernie. I think they're so athletic, and they're undefeated this year. They'll get past Bernie, and we'll see a rematch between them and South Oak Cliff in the state championship, and we're in for a pretty good treat because of that game. That was the best game we saw in the state championships, in my opinion, last season. So 4A Division I, we've got Stephenville versus Salina. This will be a fun game to watch. Stephenville's got a great defense. Salina, they're firing on all cylinders on offense. I think this will be a little closer than a lot of people expect, but I do have Salina winning this one. Just nothing has given me a reason to pick against the Bobcats. They're just playing really well right now. They get it done, and they advance back to the state championship game. Kilgore versus Lavernia. Lavernia advancing their second state semifinal in a row, and so is Kilgore, your defending state finalist from last season. I've got Kilgore beating Lavernia. I think it'll be close, but I do think Kilgore edges out a win. I like their quarterback. They're playing very well. They're very well coached. I've got Kilgore beating Lavernia, and we'll see a Salina versus Kilgore rematch in the state championship games in 4A Division I. In 4A Division II, Brock versus Carthage. This game is interesting. I think this is Billy Mathis's best Brock team he's ever coached. But problem is, I also think this Carthage team is probably one of Scott Surratt's best teams he's ever coached as far as talent, and they're playing at the right time. Now, this Brock team has got a great defense, y'all, and I think it could very well give Carthage a few problems. I think they'll do a great job of stopping their run game, but I do think Carthage will edge out this one, and they get the win. One of my followers said in a comment on one of my videos, very rare do you see a Scott Surratt team make the same mistake twice. So they've had some teams put up some offense on them, but it's the defensive game that I think this will be right here. But I think Carthage edges out Brock in a pretty too close for comfort game for the Bulldogs. Give me Carthage advancing their second state final in a row. 4A Division II, on the other side of the bracket right here, we got West Orange Stark versus Sinton. Welcome, West Orange Stark, back to the state semifinals. We love y'all being here. And we got this Sinton team, y'all, who finally got that rematch versus Cuero and beat them in a shootout there. So I really like Sinton. I think they're a good team, but I think West Orange Stark wins this game. I think they're physical. They're very well coached. I think they beat Sinton and make it back to the state championship game versus Carthage. And man, that'll be a good game to watch. In 3A Division I, we've got Peaster versus Grandview. We've got a team who's never even been this far before, and another team who, hey, they've won state championships. They know that feeling. And this is what we're kind of up against now. Peaster has not let the bright lights get to them yet. They just haven't. They got beat by Paradise. That was their only loss. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I still think Peaster should have won that game. A couple of mistakes did not go their way, and that caused the Greyhounds to lose the first game versus Paradise. But they get back in the state regional finals, and they beat this Paradise team. What a play they beat them on. They're a physical team. They're very well coached, but this Grandview team's been there. They've only had 2 losses this season, but I don't think Peaster lets the bright lights get to them. Again, I think they advance to the state championship, and they just keep on making history. Give me the Peaster Greyhound advancing to state. On the other side of this bracket in 3A Division I, we got Yoakum. How about Yoakum beating Columbus last week, y'all? An upset I did not see coming, but hey, they're playing in the state semifinals, and they'll take on a Llano team right here. This is a tough pick. I really don't know who will win this game. I really don't. But if I had to pick, I think Yoakum is just playing hot right now, so I'm going to go with Yoakum when a matchup versus Peaster in the 3A Division I state championship game, and that'll be a heck of a game, y'all. I know I'll look forward to watching that one. 2 teams, one that's establishing tradition, and another got a lot of tradition. They play in state. Give me Peaster versus Yoakum in the 3A Division I state championship. All right, 3A Division II, we got a Wall versus Gunner game. I tell you what, y'all, these Wall Hawks, they've had this one circled, but at the same time they've had it circled, they're not worried about it. They just want to get 1-0 every week. That's what's caused this Wall team to be so successful. Now, Gunner, they beat Wall last year. They've been in these situations before. They're used to being that team the other team wants to beat to get where they need to be. However, I believe this Wall team is different this year. I think that they aren't looking at this like it's some big game. I think the Hawks think they deserve to be here, and they are right about that. I think Wall beats Gunner in this rematch, and they make it to the state championship game. Give me the Wall Hawks advancing. On the other side, we got this Newton versus East Bernard. How about East Bernard, man? Getting to the state semifinals, big upset win they had over Tidehaven. I know I picked Tidehaven to win, so East Bernard, they were the underdog, man, and they play well as the underdog too. We love a team that plays well as the underdog. They're so much fun to watch. However, I'm going to pick Newton to win this game versus East Bernard. I think Newton has a great team this year, and I think they're destined for a state championship appearance. Give me Newton. I believe we got the Eagles versus the Hawks in this game, so give me Newton versus Wall in the state championship game in 3A Division 2. In 2A Division 1, West Texas versus Hamilton. Two teams that have had a great season this year. I've got West Texas winning this game. I think they have really shown that they belong here. Give me West Texas winning this one. Joaquin versus Refugio. What a season Joaquin has had this year. They have just gotten hot at the right time. They play well as the underdogs too. We have to remember that. This Refugio team, y'all, they're just a team to beat, I believe. And I've got Refugio winning this one. I think they had last year versus Ganado Circle. They beat Ganado, and it's their turn to get to a state championship. Give me West Texas versus Refugio in the 2A Division 1 state championship. In 2A Division 2, give me, man, Groover versus Munster. A good game between two, I believe, two-loss teams. I think this Munster team will beat Groover, though. I like Case and Carney. I think they're well coached. I think he is a veteran quarterback in Texas high school football who won it last year, and he won that state championship, y'all. Y'all should have seen him play. I've got Case and Carney and Munster Hornets. I think they advanced to the state championship for the second year in a row. In 2A Division 2, on the other side of the bracket, we've got Mount Enterprise versus Shiner, y'all. Two teams who are undefeated, who have had phenomenal years. How about that Mount Enterprise running back, y'all? Just lighting it up this year. I've got Mount Enterprise beating Shiner, y'all. I think they make it to the state championship game. I think this could be considered an upset. I don't know if you want to call it that, but give me Mount Enterprise versus Munster in the state championship in 1A and 2A Division 2. So that's it. A lot of y'all are like, where's 1A at? Well, we'll discuss them next week because they are already in the state championship game. So we'll do those picks next week, and looking forward to talking about 1A, who advanced to the 1A state championships. We can at least tell y'all that. Well, we got Rankin versus Gordon in 1A Division 1. How about Rankin and the year they've had? They'll face off against one another. And we've got Jayton versus Richland Springs. They're a blue blood, y'all. They've been there before versus this Jayton team who they've dominated six-man football for the past 2 or 3 years. So that'll be a great state championship match in 1A Division 2, and we'll get to those picks next week. Be sure to like and subscribe. Watch the whole video. Helps me out. Be sure to follow me on my socials. Be sure to follow Lone Star on all of our socials. Hey, to watch a Texas high school football coach and what a day in his life looks like, click the video right here and follow for more. We'll see y'all in the next video.